If you're often finding yourself thinking that you need to hit the reset button or start over or have a fresh start, this video may resonate with you. My name is Jimena Ramirez. I'm a behavior change coach and I'm the director of coaching and program strategy at Body Brain Alliance. We usually have this idea of what success and progress looks like. We tend to think that it is a straight line, and if something got in the way of that, we need to start over. However, we are only applying this to goals that feel scary, that feel big, that feel unattainable. If you think about it, we are actually only applying this to things that feel really big and really daunting, or things that we feel are not really so attainable yet. Because when we consider how many things we do every day, we do a lot of things where we are encountering obstacles, and that is not really getting on our way. We're not trying to get a fresh start from that. Think about this. Think about getting yourself places. Maybe you're driving your kids to school. You're driving your kids to school and you hit a stoplight. And you don't tell yourself, well, now I have to come back home and start over. So when this is happening, you're just seeing this as a part of the road. It is something that happens on my way to dropping my kids off or on my way to the grocery store. You're not thinking, well, now I have to come back. You're moving on. You're continuing, even though it's not as perfect as you thought, even though there was something in the way. The same thing should apply, and we want to make that apply to things like our goals. Things will happen, but they are not a sign that we need to turn around and go back home. They are not a sign that we need to start over to actually achieve success. Obstacles are a normal part of the road. And when we are encountering an obstacle and choosing to start over, we are basically doing two things. First of all, it feels discouraging because we're telling ourselves that what we didn't count. It didn't really help us towards our goals because we need to start over. So we are negating the progress that we have made, and we're also getting ourselves back to square one. So maybe what we want to think about changing here is not avoiding failure on our way to success, but it's more about how can we respond to failure differently? What if we could see failure a bit more neutrally? Instead of thinking that the only thing that gives us value is success, we could also think about how failure gives us important information. Failure can actually be your best teacher. Failure can be your GPS that tells you exactly what you need to tweak, but we rarely pay attention to it. We are so busy thinking about how we need to start over and get it right that we're not using that really valuable information that we just got from that previous experience. So here's what we want to do instead. We want to pause. We want to really take a moment to accept. We want to reflect, and we want to keep going. Pausing and accepting means that we can take a moment to think about how we feel, to really validate that. We don't need to gaslight ourselves or tell ourselves that everything is okay. We can validate how this feels, that it doesn't feel good, that we are disappointed. And we can do that without buying into the narrative that this means that we should quit. Those two things, they don't need to go together. We can choose how we are going to respond and what our response is going to be, not based on an emotion, but based on our plans and our desires. We can also choose to reflect. What is this teaching me? What can I actually get out of this? How am I going to apply this to come out of it wiser and use it towards success? And lastly, we dust ourselves off and we keep going. Failure is going to show up a number of times towards any goals that you're working on. And this doesn't mean that it is a sign to quit. It is simply one more thing along the way, like a stoplight. You will actually be making a lot more progress if you're taking this approach, and you will be coming out a lot wiser and being able to apply all of this into actually being more strategic when it comes to not making those same mistakes that led to that failure in the first place. The takeaway here is we can't avoid failure, and maybe we shouldn't even try to avoid failure because it is actually giving us a lot of information about what to tweak as we pursue our goals. So instead, we want to make sure that we're seeing that, creating neutrality around it, so that we're not allowing it to take the wheel about what we're going to be doing next. If you like this video, please hit like or subscribe to our channel to see more content like this, and we are always open to hearing about other things that you'd like to learn about.